Record. Larry Goldberg is with us just 2 days, Larry, before the earnings report and call. And uh, right off the bat, we really need to know, what do you most want to know on Wednesday?
I want to know from Elon how he sees the progress of these new businesses over the coming year and a half. I don't want to know the dates and the times and the models and the blah, 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 and which cities and which. I want to know what the rhythm is going to be. So I want to know, that he's going to be rolling out in robotaxi world, he's going to be rolling out cities, and that he intends to get to self-driving, next quarter, second quarter next year is the target. The robotaxis are going to come out second quarter, third quarter is the target. I want to know that that model version 3 of the bot will be available, in quantity by late next year. I want to know not so much the sequence, but the rhythm of what the year is going to bring.
Mhm.
I don't want, he's not going to be pinned down to detail. I don't expect him to be, but I want to know the rhythm of what to expect.
Mhm.
Firstly, there's far too many expectations that are too aggressive. Secondly, there are far too many people who poo-poo the whole thing. I just would like to get a semblance of ideas of what they're targeting,
Mhm.
so that we can start, benchmarking how we're doing against the targeting. And I don't want it by month or, certainly calendar year, preferably by season and or quarter.
Mhm. Mhm. And he's done that in the past. So,
Yes, and not precise
right, right.
targets, but general targets. And I think that would be the most valuable thing we can learn from him. And any questions should be really around that. The other, we want to know the rhythm of the mega packs
Mhm.
of energy rollout. That would be very good to have. And then finally, some idea of what they're planning for the retail sales of autos. What is the strategy on the retail sale of autos globally? Where is he in China? Where is he in Europe? What is he thinking about Indo-Pacific? And then give us a sense of what he thinks about the US and Canada. So that's kind of what I'm looking for from this call.
So he is, of course, the vice president of sales for Europe and for the United States. So he should be right on top of those two.
That's correct. That's
So,
correct.
so Larry, I agree with you. Of course, I would say those are the top of mind for me as well. Andrej Karpathy kind of, went out there and kind of put the poo-poo on the AI, the poo-poo on the AI. Anyway, he's creating a lot of angst in the community. Some people are like, and I agree, it was a phenomenal interview, well worth listening to. Um, he's suggesting that we might be, 10 years away from really having an agentic AI that is really super useful, and that we should just maybe think in terms of 2% GDP increase over the next few years. We just kind of a nice normal, a kind of a nice normal set of increases for some nice new tech. What did you think? I know I set you all up. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you think about the Andrej Karpathy podcast.
Well, I haven't listened to it.
Oh, okay. All right.
I hear what you say. I read a few pieces under it.
Mhm.
It was a very busy day. We've just moved house, and so
Right.
we're busy getting our house ready for sale. And so I've got a long list of honeydews.
Yes. Yes.
Um, I think he's wrong and he's right. I think both can be true. I think it's definitely going to take a longer time than people imagine to get to AGI. You know, Elon gives it a 10% chance of version 5 getting there. I think that's Elon being Elon, optimistic, particularly in time.
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, I think 10 years sounds a long time to me. I just finished a white paper on all the emerging technologies to solve the use of energy, the blunt force of energy in AI, and there are really some incredible technologies that could solve the energy problem, and they're all around how you actually process AI, and what the chip design is. It's around the chip design, and right now the way we do AI with the chips we use is incredibly inefficient. Most of the energy we put into it goes to heat.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And there are strategies to avoid what we're doing, and they will require a lot of research and a lot of proof and a lot of evolution and development. And so I think Andrej's right that it's going to take longer than we think. I think Andrej's wrong that it's going to take 10 years. I think it's going to be significantly shorter.
And then I understand, if I understand it correctly, you have a book coming out right now that gets into some of this AI stuff as well. I don't know, some book you wrote with 9 of your best friends.
This guy called Randy Kirk.
So AI Rising might be out tomorrow. We'll see what happens. That's the goal, is to have it on Amazon tomorrow, and at least for pre-orders. Elon Musk, according to, you know what? I didn't put down who put this post up. It was a clever post and he should get credit. He says Elon Musk has co-founded the first, second, and fifth most valuable private companies in the world, as well as the 10th most valuable public company in the world. And he says, why would you ever, ever, ever bet against Elon? And of course, he's referring to the ISS, or as Elon said, the ISIS, the ISIS group that is telling people to vote against him.
Well, let's give 𝐓𝐿𝐷𝐚𝐻𝐿𝐷𝐚𝐻.
Okay, there you go.
At 𝐴𝐴𝐵𝐻𝐿𝐷𝐚𝐻.
Okay.
Let's give him the credit. He wrote that, and it was well written, is absolutely correct. And he was actually quoting Unusual Whales at unusual _ whales,
Okay.
where he's listing the world's most valuable companies. So yeah, most valuable private companies, and of course, SpaceX is number 2 in that list. Only because OpenAI is number 1 in that list. But in addition to that, we've got xAI is number 5 in that list. So it's 2 of the most valuable private companies in the world.
Out of 5.
Plus one of the most valuable public companies in the world.
Right.
Which Marco doesn't mention, by the way.
Oh,
no, he does. He's co-founded the first and the second and fifth most valuable private companies. Yeah, so he co-founded OpenAI, which is the most valuable private company, and he founded Tesla, which is one of the top 10 most valuable companies. I don't know if it's the top 10, but it's certainly been in the top 10. Yeah.
Yeah, so I thought that's a pretty good argument against, with regard to both voting, but also when I talk to friends in the future that they should be more heavily invested in Tesla, I think that's probably the best argument I've ever heard.
Yeah, no doubt about it. The other thing is this whole conversation about ISS recommending that their subscribers vote against the resolution. This will make multiple times that ISS has recommended against a vote, which has proven to be positive for Elon.
Hmm.
They have, this unremitting negative view of anything remotely related to Elon, and which is remarkable because people only invest in this company because of Elon.
Right. Yeah, no, it makes no sense.
Yeah.
All right, so we're heading into the earnings call, Larry, and everybody that watches this channel and that has been watching you on my channel for almost 3 years knows that you have many, many times made a play heading into Wednesday. And I know you've been busy this morning, and I know you're probably not going to make a play this year because you said that doesn't interest you anymore. But what would your sense be? We're sitting at 448, the set 447, 448.
Yeah.
I think we were at 450 is the high. What would your sense be? Is this going to be a sell the news? Do you think you
Yeah, I think we'll penetrate 450 tomorrow. And after the news comes out, it'll drop, 10 points, 20 points, and then rise above in the weeks following. That's kind of the pattern.
Mhm, mhm.
Everything turns on which Elon Musk turns up to the meeting. If we have a sunny, cheerful, optimistic Elon,
Mhm.
that's worth 10 to 20 points right there.
Wow.
If we get a
Sullen.
sullen, argumentative, I don't want to even say the word, but if Elon's not on form tomorrow, could drop the share price 25, 40 points. No problem.
So I did sorry.
Yeah, it also depends on the earnings and the actual earnings. If they surprise to the upside, that could modify things. If they surprise to the downside, that could definitely sink the shares for a bit.
Yeah, right now, of course, I'm pretty positive that they're going to end up on the upside, but we never know about things. There's so many little things that can make $1 million here, 100 million there, and pretty soon it adds up to a full percentage point or something. But
Yeah, yeah.
every evidence I see would have us at around 65 to 75 cents. So that would be a nice beat.
Okay.
So Larry, Tesla, I had Grok do this. I had Grok do the last uh, 5 years of quarters, so 20 quarters, and where we ended up a week later compared to where we closed just before earnings. Do you know on average we've been up
Up, yeah.
2.5, up 2.5%?
But ask Grok about the day after the
Oh,
earnings
yeah,
call and
I,
then 5 days after the earnings
right,
call, because we will have been down more often
probably,
than up,
and then
and
up.
by quite a bit, and then up,
Yeah, yeah.
So that's my argument about what's going to happen.
Yep, I hear you. I hear you 100%. By the way, the worst of those 20 quarters, we were down 14% a week later. And the best, we were up 25%, 25% in 1 week. So
I
there you
think
go.
that was the end of
Quarter two last year, or was that
no, the
back in
big
70,
quarter.
back in 2021,
Yeah, 2020. It was
2020?
third quarter 2020. Yeah. I think it was third quarter 2020. Man, they just blew the doors off.
So I was watching Micro to Macro, or I'm sorry, seeing Micro to Macro today. He says, "What's next? Not sure if we see some consolidation in the next few weeks or just off to my $580 target. But here's what I know, a strong sense of certainty. Tesla is very likely to test the 900 range sometime in mid 2026. So he joins Dan Ives in believing that we'll be at 900 in 2026. He says, why? We're breaking out of a 4.5-year trench, and the fundamentals behind the company in the macro environment are all lining up, and the macro environment are all lining up to create a beautiful narrative. And narratives drive price. Once price hits peak, over value, we'll get past the undervaluation. Anyway, so what do you I like Micro to Macro. He's my favorite chartist.
I hate all chartists.
including micro.
I mean, I don't know the guy from Adam, so I shouldn't say I hate them all, but I don't follow, to me, it's like you might as well use a Ouija board because charts break down after a day or so. Normally they break down after an hour or so, but to be generous, they break down within a day or so. I mean, the charts that I believe in are economic charts that trace what's happening in the economy, that give us a clue to what's happening in the economy and what the forces are that are driving the economy. And we can derive a lot of information from that. And even then we get wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
But to say that, the shape of the x-axis on a XY chart of prices for a stock have got any magic ability to project or predict to me, it's just it doesn't make any sense at all. There's no logic to it at all. Anyway, sorry, I don't want to.
That's all right. Let's go on to somebody who has apparently applied logic because he's one of the most successful investors of the last 10 years. Somebody you know well and have interviewed, Chris Camillo.
Oh yeah.
He did a
Now,
video.
Chris does not read charts
Right.
and predict of the
No.
charts. Chris does social arbitration.
Right.
Arbitrage,
Mhm.
social arbitrage. He looks at the forces in the world, the social forces in the marketplace, and he deducts from that which companies are in the short term going to be impacted and makes very short term bets based upon those impacts. That's what Chris does. And that has a lot of logic behind it.
A huge amount. I was taught from the earliest days that you look for things that you like. So let's say I like Costco. I like my shopping experience at Costco, and I notice a lot of people are shopping there. Well, that might be something to look into investing. He takes it to the next level. He gave a great example. I am not a big fan of the Sphere over in Las Vegas, but the Sphere has done very well. And he said that he just started, checking out whether they were sold out or not, and how far in advance they were sold out, and how, and he saw that they were getting sold out on a regular basis, and he thought, no, this is a great company, and he charted that, and made his decision about what was the good timing, and made a lot of money on the Sphere. So just kind of an example of how he does things. So he was talking about humanoid robots today. Not today, actually, it's 3 weeks ago. He said that except for Tesla, he's only made two other bets, and I forgot the other one, but Figure was one.
Aptronic was the other.
Aptronics, that's correct, Aptronics. And he thinks that it's going to, still take a minute to get this done. He went into some really good issues, which people that haven't been in manufacturing often don't realize. And one of those, in this case, is reliability. Just whether these wires and these
Transducers.
transduce all the different things are going to work for a week, a month, or a year. And he says the ones in China that he's been looking into, and some of the other ones, they're great for about 4 days, and then you got to replace them. What you've been looking at a lot of these companies also, Larry, up close and personal, talking to owners, and being more active than I have been in kind of looking at the competitors. What do you think are some of the things that impress you, or are causing you to be careful or cautious? Anyway, whatever you're thinking about the overall ability to get to market and scale.
You know, industrial robots are very large. Their bearings are industrial bearings, and they are incredibly reliable over an extremely extended period of time. What we're trying to do now is build at scale a mass production item that could be very, very reliable. I mean, Tesla has proven again and again and again that it's able to deliver to market a highly reliable piece of equipment that can undergo, fairly tortured use and that can achieve its goals. I mean, I've had, I don't know, 6 Teslas now. I've done hundreds of thousands of miles between them. I haven't had a mechanical problem yet. Not one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Can't say that for any other car I've had. BMW, Rolls-Royce,
Mm-hmm.
you name it. I can't even think about one that didn't give me, Anyway, the point that should be made here is Tesla has a lot of experience with very high volume, production. What's also interesting is Starlink has been in production in very significant quantities in very small scale. So across the companies, across the Musk companies, they definitely have the manufacturing expertise to make highly reliable.
Oh,
So if Chris is right,
all the way from neural brain implants to bringing back rockets from space.
well, they haven't done production at scale yet in the neural implants, but they definitely have done it with the Starlink terminals and the Starlink satellites. They have more than 7 million terminals out there. I have 2 terminals from them. I've never had a blip.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But more importantly is the operating satellites, because the operating satellites have to operate under very difficult conditions.
Right.
Very, very high sunlight bathing them versus very cold, night or space nights. So if you take, and of course they build hundreds of rockets a year on production line, hundreds of 500 to, they built 500 second stages. So they've very deep knowledge of production. I think if anybody can do it, Tesla have proven they can do it. The others, I mean, I'm invested in some of the others. One of the ones I'm invested in have decided to do it by contract manufacturing, to use one of these contractors that do very high precision contract manufacturing.
I see.
Look, Apple is built under contract manufacturing.
Yes, right.
So, you can achieve pretty high standards, very high standards, ultimate standards that way as well. There's no problem in doing that. I think that I think they're going to solve the problem, each of these manufacturers. Tesla has got a reputation for doing it, at incredibly low cost, with incredibly high efficiency and incredibly high quality. Those are very important standards. So we'll see. The guys from Figure talk a very big game. Our experience has not been good in people who do that, but I happen to think that he's a good guy. I happen to think he's going to pull it off. I think he's going to be a player in this, if not a leader. The guys from Apptronik, I've got money in them, and I've high confidence in them. I've looked at that company pretty closely. So I think we're going to be okay. I think we're going to start deliveries next year. Figure is definitely going to be early in the pack, I think. I think Tesla's going to be a little bit later, it looks like, but I think they've done a lot more work. So we'll see. Tesla wasn't the first electric car out there.
It's true. Chris also thought that maybe some of these guys will get snapped up, that it's too important to Google and Apple and some of the other big hyperscalers, too important for them to get the data, that they need the data from these bots, and that if they're not ready to go themselves, they might just snap up some of these other guys.
Well, Google already has a position in Aptronic,
Okay.
and I think they may be investing in others as well, but they have a position in Aptronic. I think it wouldn't surprise me if NVIDIA take a position in
Mhm.
some of these others. The guy from Figure said that he's running his own processor and not running NVIDIA processors. So I'd be interested to see who, but he's raised big money, he's raised some really big money, and a lot of people have confidence in him. So I think he can raise whatever he needs. It's going to be a hell of a show. Hell of a show.
On another subject, you and I have talked about this a lot over the years, but I went into Grok. I'm just having so much fun playing with Grok. And I did a big show on Saturday morning because what's going on right now in the headlines on the economy, Larry, is a bunch of guys are talking about bubble, 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 bubble. We've never seen anything like this. We've never seen these PE ratios. Gold at 4,375 it still hasn't hit 4,400. And, go down the list. We have all these crazy asset numbers. And then go down the list of all the things that are in flux, things that we've never seen anything like before, like the way Trump has rejiggered the world economy, the way we're sending all the immigrants home. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. The AI thing that's happening. So we've got a massive number of moving parts. I think that's a great way to put it. A massive number of moving parts that seem to me, anyway, to be more moving parts than I can remember in my lifetime. And you are older than me. So I wanted to know, can you, by two
Yeah,
horses?
Reagan. Yeah, when Reagan took power, that it was a very similar situation. It was also, Democrats called it the end of the world,
Right.
for sure. Um, and Reagan was also attracted a lot of hate. Nothing like Trump, but certainly, in that vein, he was uh, he was called a lot of different names, and he was dismissed as a dummy.
Right.
Um, so it wasn't that different. And of course, he was blamed for all sorts of terrible things and hate and hate speech and all of that stuff. But of course, it's dialed up to 11 now. You get people marching in the street calling for death of people. I mean,
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
it's incredible. I mean, people are marching in the streets much worse than Ku Klux Klan calls, 40 years ago. Um, so yeah, I've seen it before, but nothing to this pitch.
Yeah. Yeah. So, with all of that that's going on, and again, we've talked about it so often, we have this demographic shift like nothing in history between the old folks controlling
Hmm.
all the money and
Hmm.
young folks not getting married, not having kids, not buying houses. I mean, all these demographic shifts, all this stuff that's going on. Um, do you think any of these big bubbles are going to pop in such a way that it would be devastating?
Well, I don't think so. I think the economy is strong right now. Yeah, the federal government is running a deficit, but I think we'll begin to see the move back down to a lower level of deficit. I think a lot depends on whether the healthcare problem is solved. That is, I mean, I've proven it again and again.
Mhm.
I've written about it extensively. I've spoken about it extensively. It's the big problem in our budget.
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
not defense. Everybody says defense. I mean, defense is really, as a percentage of our budget, it's at a pretty low level. It's climbing right now, and rightfully so, but it's never been, I mean, it's not as high as it's been in the past. But yeah, I mean, the amount of money that is, I've seen fraud, waste, and abuse through my entire experience, every single administration and so on and so forth. And Reagan tackled it and Clinton tackled it. Those two, by the time the Reagan revolution was done and then the Clinton work was done, Clinton and Gore,
Mhm.
our deficit went from, stratospheric to negative. I mean, actually had a balance of payment, a positive balance of payments under Clinton. And what it was is that, they dodged it. They dodged it and they dodged it. And they worked, there was more, cooperation.
Yep.
In Clinton years, there was, a Republican-led Congress that worked with Clinton to reduce the deficit.
Yeah, you had this amazing leader on the right, Gingrich, who,
Yes.
if he hadn't messed up his personal life, would have been president probably. But Gingrich and Clinton, they really worked well together. I think Clinton saw an opportunity for what's the word? Co-opting the Republican message of being wise in finances.
Yeah.
And he was very good at that triangulation process.
Triangulation is what
Right.
they called it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he and Clinton worked together and they got a surplus. So it is possible. It's doable. And I think the CBO just came out today and said that we were at last 12 months, 6%. So we're down from 6.6 to 6% of the GDP in terms of interest.
It's a long way to go.
Long way to go to 3. Yes.
Long way to go. Yeah. I mean, it's going to take a second presidency after Trump to seal the deal. If we get a Vance or a Rubio or a Vance-Rubio ticket, I think that would be the ticket to, getting this thing under control. Nonetheless, I think we can grow rapidly through this. And, if Kathy's right, and I believe she is, I think we can start seeing surpluses, by the turn of the decade.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, another
Not
one.
that we want surpluses, by the way. We don't want surpluses.
Yes, not forever at least. Yeah. You might want to bring the debt down a bit, but you don't need surpluses just ongoing. Another one of your buddies, somebody that you really like, is Palmer Luckey. I was watching Palmer also the last couple of days. He's been on a lot of programs.
Yeah.
And so the blog thing is happening. I think this channel should claim a very early statement on this subject. Now, I have to admit, Elon was saying it too, so that gave me confidence. When Elon says the future of war is drones. But you know how I came to the conclusion, Larry? I don't know if I've ever told you this story. I've always been afraid of those massive helicopters, the Black Hawk Down type thing. Like if I was going to be in a war, that would be the scariest and most horrible thing I could imagine. Not a tank, not a some kind of a grenade launcher, but those helicopters coming over the rise.
Yeah, the problem is that they're very vulnerable.
But they're very vulnerable. But now, the scariest thing I can imagine is a swarm of drones coming over that rise that are not vulnerable. And it's a swarm, it's not just one.
Well, they're vulnerable, but you can't kill them all.
Right, exactly. So that's how I came to the conclusion that I did, that I agreed with Elon, future of war is drones. And now Palmer and others are all saying, it's pretty much across the board now.
Well, they must have heard you say it, Randy.
Well, I think it had to do with the Ukraine war. I'm not sure, but I think it was the Ukraine war that really proved it to everybody. They're saying that Palmer said a massive part of this budget increase is going to be going into drones.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't take a lot of money to buy a lot of drones.
I know.
That's what's so terrifying about it.
Yeah.
Which means that every podunk country in the world could potentially upset the apple cart in their particular geography.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. It's again, it's kind of there's a word for it. I'm forgetting it when you have a small army and you're up against a big army, so you use you use these techniques that are that you need to use as a guerrilla. And so almost every company is capable of some guerrilla warfare if they can buy a few drones.
Yeah, and Ukraine, it's incredible that Ukraine, this relatively small country compared to Russia,
Mhm.
and relatively poor country compared to Russia, or was a poor country compared to Russia, that they should have held these people for so long and actually even reconquer some territory back.
Right.
So it's quite amazing, honestly. We'll see.
So there was good news earlier today. We heard from, I think it was Vice President Vance, or it was anyway, one of the administration guys, I forget which one, said that Trump and Zelensky have come up with a package that they think is going to stop the war.
I hadn't seen that today. I do know that Zelensky was pretty bummed by, Trump's insistence that he give back the Donetsk,
Mhm.
um, uh, and even more territory than Russia has actually conquered. So I think that would disappoint me intensely. I would be very opposed to that. I'd oppose Trump on that. I don't think. I think if that happens, that will be a signal for Russia's next attack.
Mhm.
Within 4 years, they may not attack during Trump's time, but they may definitely attack after Trump. So I hope this is not the end game because I would disagree with that, but we'll see.
Mhm, mhm, mhm. So, have I missed anything, Larry? Again, I know you were off doing other things, but have I missed anything I almost always, as you know, I always start when I just first start in the green room still. I always ask you if there's anything you're passionate about today so that I don't miss something that's on your mind.
Well, I hope the Palestine Israel, Hamas Israel issue is not off the table because there's still fighting going on. The peace hasn't taken hold. Hamas has taken control of the Gaza Strip, which they were not supposed to do. So I think there's still hard work to be done. I don't think that war is over. I think the hostages are home.
Mhm.
That is critical, and the reason it's critical is because it gives Israel a free hand.
Right. Mhm.
And so Hamas are trying to, they're killing a lot of Palestinians. I
Right.
mean,
Right. Right. Well, apparently there's tribal differences still, and there's people that were considered to be, not towing the line they should have been towing, and so they're taking revenge. So you think they really could gin it up into something awful, or do you think it's got a good
yeah,
chance?
I
Yeah.
think they could.
Okay.
I think a lot depends on whether Qatar stops the money,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
whether they have stopped the money and whether they stop the money. Look, it could be another Lebanon, where you've got a government and then you've got a power under the government or above the government, which
Mm-hmm.
is Hezbollah in Lebanon. Whether Hezbollah is going to be able to rebuild and whether the Hamas is going to be able to rebuild largely depends upon whether Qatar supports
Hamas.
Hamas, and whether Iran is able to get support to Hezbollah. But they've been
Mm-hmm.
so badly weakened that Israel is probably well set for the next 7 to 10 years.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But the bigger issue is to try and enforce the peace agreement
Right.
the Arab states, the Muslim states, to band together and to say to Hamas, stop,
Mm-hmm.
no more, and to cut them off from their weapons. Only if that happens, can we see a real peace emerge.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, that's a very good thing to have as our parting shot for today, Larry. We are
I do want to call out Ed Krasenstein, the
yeah,
Krasenstein brothers.
yeah, they're nice guys.
Yeah. I mean, I have nothing against them. I've spoken to one of them at least. He seemed to be a nice guy. But I'll tell you, one of those brothers posted today that there's war is going on in Palestine. So much for the Trump peace. He's just blah blah blah, and then trashing Trump with all this Trump hate. What Trump achieved in getting those hostages out and getting the Arab states to this alliance is an amazing achievement. It absolutely equals the Sadat peace. It absolutely equals the Sadat peace in Egypt, because it's going to be one of those moments that change the trajectory. Egypt has not attacked or even supported attacks on Israel since Sadat made peace, even though Sadat was assassinated. So how you can say something like that, it just troubles my soul.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I think I've blocked both of them because of their nonsense. But I might.
I wouldn't block them. I really want to hear what they have to say.
Yeah, one of them was just too over the top for me. I couldn't stand it anymore. I've only blocked like 10 people ever, but sometimes people are just too much.
Anyway, I just wanted to
Yeah, no, that's great.
raise
No,
my voice.
and again, I have no idea what the answer to this is. Is Jared Kushner charismatic enough as a speaker, as a presenter, et cetera? Would he be a potential future president?
I doubt it. I think he's too modest for that.
I see.
I think he's too I don't think he could campaign with the level of blood and thunder that it takes. But could he be a Secretary of State? I mean, what an amazing Secretary of State he would make.
Yeah.
What an amazing Secretary of State he would make.
Yeah.
Jared Kushner, just amazing guy, just an amazing guy.
Yeah, yeah. Everybody talks about Trump getting the Nobel Peace Prize, but I've thought that Kushner has deserved it, obviously, since the last term, and deserves it even more now. I hope he gets it.
I agree. I agree.
All right, Larry, we're 10 minutes, or 20 minutes before the numbers come out, so I'm going to put us on pause and just say thank you for joining me as always, and we'll talk to you next time.
Great day for the Bulls.
That's right.